For what, the last decade or so, this little grid of icons on a glass screen has been the absolute center of our digital lives. But that is all about to change. Seriously, we are on the edge of a massive shift, moving away from apps and jumping headfirst into a world run by intelligent agents. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the blueprint for this new post-app world and see how companies like OpenAI are literally planning to reinvent the phone itself.
And this quote from OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, it just hits the nail on the head, right? Our phones right now are just this chaotic mess of dings, pop-ups, and notifications. The whole vision for this new AI-native hardware isn't about cramming in more features. It's about creating a calmer, more focused, and honestly, a more intentional way to use our tech.
And look, don't think for a second this is some far-off sci-fi dream. Based on some pretty solid supply chain analysis, there's a very clear timeline taking shape. OpenAI is on track to reveal its first hardware device in 2026, then ship a smart speaker in 2027, and by 2028, we're talking mass production of an AI phone and smart glasses. This future is being built as we speak.
So what does this new vision actually look like in practice? Well, it's not just about one new device, but a whole new AI-native ecosystem. In this first part, we're going to explore how it's all being designed from the ground up to finally move beyond the limits of the app as we know it.
The plan here is incredibly comprehensive. You've got the AI-native phone right at the center of it all, but it's backed up by a whole family of other devices. A smart speaker for your house, AI headphones from when you're on the go, smart glasses to compete with the big guys, and even this mysterious AI pen, some kind of pocket device for focused, non-intrusive help. This is a total reimagining of personal computing. Okay, so all of that sounds incredible, right? But it slams right into this huge, honestly, kind of scary problem. If these AI agents are going to run our lives, how can we possibly trust them on the devices we have now, which are deeply, deeply vulnerable? As we're about to see, the simple answer is, we can't.
And here's the core of the problem. Today's mobile agents work on what researchers call the screen as interface model. What that means is the AI is literally looking at your screen, reading pixels, trying to identify buttons and text just to figure out what to do. It's being forced to trust unstructured visual data as its source of truth. And yeah, that is a recipe for absolute disaster.
And that brings us to this incredible metaphor from the research. Today's AI agents are blind gods. Think about it. They have the power to do almost anything. Transfer your money, post on your social media, book your flights, but they are completely blind to whether what they're seeing is real. Is that your real banking app or a perfect fake? They have literally no way of knowing.
This blindness leads to failure across four really critical areas. First, identity. The agent can't prove who it is or who it's talking to. Second, perception. It's super easy to trick with fake login screens. Third, cognition. Its reasoning can be poisoned by bad data. And finally, execution. Because it needs God mode access to your screen, one tiny mistake can compromise your entire device.
And listen, this is not just a theory. Look at this real-world example right here. A user told an agent to find this post and agree with it. The post, well, it contained hate speech. The agent, just seeing text and a like button, couldn't grasp the toxic context and just dutifully posted a comment saying, "I agree with your point of view." I mean, that is a perfect and, frankly, chilling example of a blind god at work. So how do you fix this? How do you give a god sight? Well, the answer is you don't. You rebuild the entire world it operates in. This brings us to the blueprint for a solution, Aura, a new kind of operating system built from the ground up, specifically for AI agents, not for our human eyes.
Aura's whole solution starts by rethinking how information flows. So on the left, you've got the old way. One giant, powerful agent trying to make sense of a messy screen. But on the right, that's the Aura approach. It fundamentally separates the thinking part from the doing part, and it forces them to talk through secure, structured channels. No more guessing games.
The whole thing works on what they call a hub and spoke model. It's actually pretty brilliant. The system agent is the hub. It figures out what you want to do, but it can't actually touch any apps itself. Instead, it gives orders to these little sandbox app agents, the spokes, which only have permission to do one specific job, like book a flight and nothing else. And watching over every single interaction is the agent kernel, the ultimate security guardrail. So, you're probably wondering, how does this agent kernel actually keep everything safe? Well, it's all built on these four pillars of defense. First up, identity. Every single agent gets a cryptographic passport to prove who it is. Next, a semantic firewall acts like a bouncer, cleaning up all the data before the AI even sees it. Third, integrity checks make sure the agent's logic isn't being corrupted. And finally, a complete audit trail logs every single action. Total accountability.
Okay, so after all that brilliant architectural work, what's the actual payoff? Well, it turns out you get a future that is not only dramatically more secure, but also significantly faster. This is what makes that whole AI native vision both safe and practical.
And the numbers here, they really speak for themselves. When they tested this on high-risk tasks, the current screen scraping tech had an attack success rate of about 40%. 40! But with the Aura architecture, that number plummets to just 4.4%. That's a nearly tenfold improvement in security. That's huge.
But here's the kicker, the part I really love. This isn't one of those trade-offs between security and speed. Nope, because Aura uses efficient, structured communication instead of slow, clunky screen reading. It completes tasks up to 7.5 times faster. So get this, the secure way is also the fast way. You don't have to choose.
And that right there, that quote, perfectly sums up the massive shift in thinking we're talking about. The path forward isn't about trying to build a smarter AI that can read a broken screen a little better. The future is creating a totally new agent economy, where trust isn't just something you hope for, it is guaranteed by the very architecture of the system itself.
So this really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. We've spent our entire digital lives tapping away on a grid of little icons, but if we have a secure foundation like this, is the future of the phone even a screen at all? Or is it simply a single, intelligent, and finally, a trustworthy conversation?